Hi, my name is Carolyn Ogan, IT Manager for the Resource Professionals Group. This is the second in a series of 3 videos which provide live demonstrations on how to file and pay your taxes using our online system. These videos provide step-by-step instructions covering the following: logging into your account, changing your password and getting help, completing your registration form, filing your tax return, and paying your returns balance. This video covers the topic highlighted in blue, completing your registration form. You'll want to have a few things on hand before you get started. You'll need your account number and password to log in. For more on this, please see the video entitled How to Log In, Change Your Password, and Get Help. And you'll need the 9-digit Federal Employer Tax ID belonging to the owner of your lodging establishment. This is always 2 numbers followed by a hyphen, followed by 7 more numbers, as in this example. It'll also be useful if you have completed the registration worksheet we provided and have it close by. So once you have all that information, you'll be ready to go to our website, trpgroup.us. where you can click on the blue button marked Taxpayers at the top of the page and log into your account. So now that we're in, let's look at the layout of this page. You can see that the page is divided in half. The left half is the one you'll be using the most, since that's where you sign in to file your tax return. But if we try to do that now, the system won't let us continue. That's because we haven't completed the one-time taxpayer registration that's required before we can file a return. So I'm going to cancel out of this and go to the right-hand side of the page, where I can register my new taxpayer account. Although you only have to register once, we do ask that you come back in and update your information as it changes. As an example of why this is important, pretend you've forgotten your password and need a new one to be sent to your email address. If your email is incorrect in your registration form, your new password will be sent to the wrong place. Signing in to register or amend a registration will require the entry of a name and email address. These don't have to be the same every time. However, the system does validate the format of these types of entries. So an email address that doesn't look like an email address will be flagged. So if I say carolyn.ogan@trpgroup.us, then that's okay. If you're not sure what to enter as your owner's Federal Employer Tax ID, you can click on the Owner's Tax ID Unknown link on the left-hand side of the page and get lots of detailed information on what this is and how to obtain it. But since I do know mine, I'm going to go ahead and enter that so I can start my registration. So now I've accessed the registration form. As you can see from the registration worksheet you were provided, the form is divided into sections, and each section gathers certain details about your lodging establishment. On this online version of the registration form, each section has its own page. So right now we're on the first section, which gathers details about the physical presence of the property, name and physical address of business. You can see that some information is already filled in for us. Notice too that some information is required and that you can't proceed through the remainder of the form without providing it. For example, if I try to go to the next page, I'll be stopped because I didn't provide the phone number. You can tell which items of information are required by the stars next to their designations. So you can see the little star next to phone number. Required or not, it's helpful for everyone if you provide as much information as you have on hand. And if you don't have it on hand, you can always come back later and add to or correct the entries. So I'm going to put my phone number in, and some items like the phone number are automatically formatted. So really all I need to do is put in the numbers. And the punctuation all happens for me. I do have to put in the right amount of numbers, or I'll get another flag. Here and there, you'll get helpful little pop-ups designed to save you the trouble of entering the same information twice. This one says, is your mailing address the same as your physical address? And if you check yes, like I'm going to, the mailing address section of the form will be automatically filled in with the address from this section. You'll see what I mean when we get to that part of the form. This section, Property Data, gathers general information about your property. So previous owner is John Doe. Year property constructed. We use lots of mechanisms like this drop-down box to make entering your information as easy as possible. You can see property type is a required piece of information. I'm going to say this is a hotel. And when we get down to previous names of your establishment over the past 5 years, I want to note that sometimes a question requires an indefinite number of answers, like this one. For example, your establishment could have had many past names or no past names. So what you do in this case is just put each name in one at a time and click Add. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say one past name is Hotel California. I don't need the type, but I'll say hotel and click Add. Let's do another one. Bates Motel. And click Add. Do this until all names have been provided. There are several of these types of questions on the form, but they are all just as easy as this one to answer. And there's a help link in each section explaining things in more detail, like we see here. This is a multiple entry section. Click here for full instructions. So there they are. Under rooms and rates, it would be helpful if you put in estimated room rates, but you are only required to provide the number of rooms you have, divided into rooms with 1 bed and rooms with 2+ beds. So let me say I have 50 of each. I can put those in and move on. Mailing address contact. Here's where you can see that the mailing address has been entered for me because I checked the box stating that it was the same as the physical address. Now I just need to fill in the remainder of the section. So I'm going to hit the pieces of required information. And go to the next section. Here's the federal employer's tax ID. The tax ID you enter here will be the one used by the system to verify your sign-in identity, both when you file and when you update your registration. So you'll want to make sure it's correct. So owner's legal name is distinguished from natural person contact because your owner name might be a company name, like I'll say it's TRP Group. But we still would like to have the name of a person to talk to when we contact you. You'll be entering a number of addresses on this system, so let me show you how to handle the city, state, and zip code drop-down boxes. So starting with the state, you can really just start typing it in, and it'll come up for you in the drop-down list, or you can scroll down until you find it. But once you click on it, all the cities in that state will appear in the next box. So that narrows things down. Pick the city and its zip codes will appear in the next box. And that's all there is to that. As I move to the next section, I get another pop-up. If the establishment's owner performs any or all of these tasks, management, bookkeeping, or tax filing, the information from this section gets entered into those sections as well. Let's assume that the owner does perform all these tasks. That way, we can sort of zip through the rest of the form. I think you have a pretty good idea of how to fill in the remainder of the items. And in the interest of brevity, I'm going to skip anything that isn't required. So, owner's other properties, we'll say none. Partners, managing directors, and officers, we'll say there aren't any. Move on. These are all multiple entry sections. So you can see now that the manager's information has all been filled in for us because we said that the owner also performs property management. The manager type is required. I'll say owner. And I think we can move on. Other managed properties, I'll say none. Move on. Again, the bookkeeper's information is all filled in except for the official title of the bookkeeper. I'll just say owner. And does bookkeeper have other duties? Well, yes, actually. Owner. Add that one. And we can move on. Owner. I'm not typing too well today. So this tax preparer's email is very important because that's the email that's going to be used when you lose or forget a password. That's where your new password will be sent. So you want to get that exactly right. And now we're on the last page. So I'm going to fill that information in. And this really applies to the actual person that's doing this registration the first time. I think that's got it. So I'm going to submit my registration. Success, we have now registered. Now you will have the option to view and print the form. Let's see what that looks like. You can see it looks just like your worksheet, only it's all filled out. And if you click on this little printer button, you'll be hooked up with your default printer, so you can have a paper copy for your records. From here, I can also go back to the main page, file and pay my tax. It'll let me do that now. Or I can log out and come back later and do that, which is what I think I'll choose. And that brings us to the topic of our next video, filing and paying your taxes. And it concludes this video on how to complete your registration form. I hope this has been helpful. Remember, you can always contact us for further questions and additional guidance. Our toll-free number is 877-729-2001. Thank you and have a great day.